We're going to talk about something really important today, something that might challenge what you think you know about fitness. We're going to take a close look at a super common exercise and ask a tough question. Could it actually be hurting you, especially if you're over 50? It's all about working out smarter, not just harder, to keep our bodies safe and strong. So, let's dive right in.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds a little dramatic, right? But stick with me. This statement is really meant to get us thinking. For years, we've all been told the same thing about building a strong core. Today, we're going to unpack the science behind how our bodies change and what that really means for the exercises we choose.
The plank. We all know it. For what seems like forever, it's been crowned the king of core exercises. You see it everywhere. It's the gold standard, and it's probably a staple in your routine. But here's the thing. What's fantastic for a 25-year-old isn't necessarily what's best for a 55-year-old.
And that right there is the million-dollar question. Fitness is never one size fits all. It can't be, especially as we get older. The exercises that felt great a decade ago might need a little rethink today. The goal here isn't just about being strong. It's about being strong and resilient without putting yourself at risk for injury.
So what is it that's actually changing in our bodies? Well, one of the biggest shifts happens right in our spine. You know, the very structure that holds us up and lets us move. As we age, it just has different needs and, frankly, different vulnerabilities. Understanding this change is absolutely crucial for keeping your back healthy for the long haul.
Let's break this down. Think of your spinal discs when you're younger. They're like these plump, juicy grapes full of water. They're super elastic, fantastic shock absorbers. But as we get older, those discs naturally start to lose some of that water. They become a bit more like, well, raisins. They're thinner, less flexible, and that makes them much more vulnerable to pressure.
And that vulnerability brings us to this idea of spinal compression. It's basically a squeezing force on those discs we just talked about. When you hold a standard plank, you're putting a pretty significant and sustained load right on your lower back. And if your deep core muscles aren't firing perfectly to support you, all of that pressure goes straight to those less forgiving discs.
So this is where the trouble can start. Holding a plank, especially if your form isn't perfect, can actually make any small core imbalances you already have even worse. This puts a ton of pressure on those less flexible discs, which can, over time, lead to that nagging low back pain or even a more serious injury. You're basically taking on a pretty big risk for a benefit, a strong core, that you can absolutely get in a much, much safer way.
Now, let's be really clear here. I am not saying the plank is a bad exercise. It's not. The issue isn't the plank itself, it's the context. It's about a potential mismatch between that specific exercise and a body with a mature spine. That mismatch is where the danger can creep in.
Okay, so that brings us to the most important part of this whole conversation, right? How do we get that strong, stable core we need, but without putting our spine at risk? How do we work with our bodies instead of against them? Well, the good news is there is a fantastic, incredibly effective alternative.
All right, let's get to the good stuff. The solution is something called the seated core engagement. And the beauty of this exercise? It's simple. It gives you all of that deep core strengthening and stability you want, but it takes the compressive load off your spine completely. It's targeted, it's smart, and it is so incredibly safe.
Let me walk you right through it. Go ahead and find a solid, sturdy chair. Sit right on the edge with your feet planted flat on the floor. Now, posture is key. Sit up nice and tall, back straight. Place your hands on the chair right next to your hips. Okay, now for the important part. Brace your abs. Really tighten them up, like you're about to take a little punch to the gut. Good. Now press down into your hands and use that core to lift your hips just an inch or so off the chair. Hold it there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Feel that? Now lower yourself back down with control. That's one perfect rep. So why is this so effective? Well, you're hitting those deep, stabilizing abdominal muscles directly, but without putting any of that risky pressure on your spine. You're building functional strength, the kind that helps you stand tall and move through your day with confidence. Plus, it's so safe you can literally do it every single day.
You know, the big takeaway here is this. Staying fit, especially after 50, isn't just about pushing for more intensity. It's about being intelligent. It's about listening to your body, understanding what it needs now, and adapting your workouts so you can stay strong, capable, and, most importantly, pain-free for decades to come.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. When you head to the gym or roll out your mat, are you exercising just for today? Or are you exercising for the person you want to be in 10, 20, or 30 years? It's your body and your choice to make. Thanks for joining me.